JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Friday, June 6th, 9 a.m. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from the S&P futures in the green. S&P's up about 0.75% after the better than expected jobs report. I wouldn't say better than it wasn't like a monster jobs report, but unemployment rate stayed flat. Um, and then you had 139,000 jobs added. Estimates was 125. So just uh, in the face of Wednesday's ADP report, which looked like, hey, maybe there's gonna be some concerns. I mean, just very strong. So good stuff there. The only negative or drawback to that is yields are up again, right? So uh, it's almost I was saying it yesterday. It's almost like I'm not saying we want to get into an environment where bad news is good news, but at some point you don't want to see the 30-year go over 5%, right? Because then I think there'll be some problems. So uh, we'll see how today plays out. Hopefully, there's some lottos. Yesterday was a frustrating session, right? So we had the President Xi and Trump talking. So that report came out, and I think that kind of put a bid in the markets. And then Trump kind of commented, say it went well, and they're going to have more talks or whatever. And then the SPY all the way up to 5.99 at the noon hour, and then he's talking to the new German chancellor in the White House, and there's a press conference, and then boom, it gets it to Musk, and then that was kind of like it, right? So, uh, just I was doing on Rand yesterday. I don't want to talk too much about it because it's an embarrassment kind of thing to see in a public setting, but it is what it is, right? So you don't know whether to laugh, to cry, to just like, oh my gosh. So at the end of the day, I just hope, like I was saying this morning to watch this, that there's some kind of amicable resolution to this, whether it's just a let's move on, let's do whatever. But you have to think, and it's a shame that the current environment for the market, it's like your stock doesn't trade on fundamentals of growth. It trades on a possibility that there might be some revenge from Trump now, and he might, raise regulations on Tesla or SpaceX or some of these other. Just what? So it's like the market now. You got to price in that on Tesla. Where in the election, you're like, oh, maybe it has tailwinds, less regulation and things. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I was saying it on the what in the chat room yesterday. I mean, if you follow Trump over the years, there's so many events that have happened. This is just one of many, many that have been like the end of the stock, right? I mean, the mining incident, right? He sends over equipment and employees from Tesla to get these miners that were trapped in the cave. And then he goes on Twitter and starts calling the guy a pedophile, right? I mean, who remembers all that stuff? But it wasn't like he did that, and then his investors and whoever could say, hey, you can't do that, Musk. And he like doubles down. He's just relentless. And that's what he does. So you knew once that Trump comment came around Musk that he was going to be relentless. And that's what he did. So we'll see how this all plays out. I think I always try and look at a positive spin, and the positive spin here is hopefully this could be one of those events that help put the focus more on the U.S. debt, and they figure the debt out so that there's deficit that at some point starts to get reined in, and there's a budget surplus, and that U.S. debt can come down, right? Because there's only two ways that are going to help the debt the service payments on the debt go down. It's either the rates go down substantially, or the debt goes down, right? And hopefully you have both. That would be the ideal scenario. Who knows if that's going to happen? All right. So that's overall market. Take a look at a SPY 597. That's been kind of like the line in the sand. We did get to 599. I would love to see it close over the 597 handle here today. Would be nice over 600. I don't know if we'll get that today. And then take a look at the yields. And again, we'll see where the 30-year plays out by the end of the day, but just don't want to see that over 5. But all right, so that's kind of the overall markets. So then individual names. So great open, right? So Lemonade at the open, boom, all the way up to $38 by 11, 12 o'clock. And then it just melted into the afternoon, sold off for the rest of the market and closed in a red. Disappointing to say the least. My calls are back in the green. Well, I don't know. I have it here. And then boom, back in the red. If it gets back over 38, I might look for some more strikes. I still think this trades over $40 in coming weeks, especially before the June expiration. Same with W, right? All the way up to 46 in the morning, and then gave it back. Still closed in the green yesterday despite the market weakness. 4 straight sessions to the upside, so it's green all week. Would love to see some continuation here. Close over 46. I think that sets the stage over $50. Considering the volatility, and the stock was at 46, the next thing you know, it's at 44. Yesterday, I think the day before was at 45, then back to 43. So in lieu of trying to add some more strikes, I'll just look to close some of my calls out to cover costs. They came close to being 100% again yesterday. And then I'll just ride the rest. There's the Tesla chart. I was saying to you yesterday, I had on a watch list. Like, when you start seeing these events, it's like I should have known to get the puts on Tesla. But I remember looking at the chart early in the day. I think someone posted in the chat room, and I'm like, if Tesla breaks further, I think 304 is a good spot, and that was the 200-day moving average. So when I saw the tweets and the comments from Trump, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to break over under 304. And of course, in hindsight, I should have got some puts, right? I was talking about yesterday. If some of the 285s are up 13,000% yesterday. So I was at 4.1 million put contracts traded on Tesla yesterday. That's just like mind-boggling. So, all right, so that's the Tesla chart. W, Lemonade, Yext, right out of the gate yesterday. It's like a seller came in. There was no news or catalyst. Davidson maintained their neutral rating. I don't think that was the catalyst. But then it rallied. It only closed. I say only closed down less than 2%. So considering where it was in the morning, a good sign there. And then hopefully we get some continuation here today. It gets over $9. I might look for some more strikes. I think it trades over $10 in coming week or two. And then some lottos here today. So MDB, I'm going to be watching again today, especially if we find some footing. Weakness. Couldn't break 238 and closed under 230. But you look, and it's like the 200-day moving average is right there at 246. I think it's the start of a multi-day move for a gap fill. So today might be a good day with premiums, Friday premiums to get some lottos. So I'll be watching that. Broadcom reported a monster quarter after the close yesterday. I'm surprised this thing's not green. Could be a name I watched to trade some lottos today for a move over 260. Broadcom, similar to what Ulta did last week, has had a history of doing these outsized moves right after the open, right? So at 9:30, it might go from 252, where it's trading right now, over 260. So the hard part is I don't want to chase, but I'll be watching possibly for some quick calls right at the open. Also, MDB, Broadcom, Reddit is another one of those names, right? I mean, looked like it was going to break out on Wednesday all the way up to 119, then sold off. Then yesterday was gapping lower, bounced at the open, and then gave it all back, closed down at 112. So some wide trading ranges on Reddit. So maybe today is the day I've been trading. Same with RH. I'll be looking at both of those for some possible lottos here today. I think that's about GameStop disappointing. Just want to see that back over $30. It's at $29.70 here. I'll wait for 32 to add some more strikes. And I think that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. Hopefully no craziness. So this morning we didn't have any crazy Trump tweets. Last week, what was the EU? No, the week last week was China, right? That the China had just broken the agreement, whatever. The week before was Europe and the iPhone. So thankfully, this morning, nothing crazy outside of some media, right? He talked about the media this morning, and then saying he's gonna sell his Tesla. So, funny stuff. All right, let's have a great day, folks. I'll be back. Rock and roll.